Today I'm pretty much just doing an update / announcement video. In the coming weeks I'll be releasing videos in regards to a rather contentious bill that's being passed through Australian Parliament. Actually, it was announced back in October last year, but it's still gaining some traction at the moment. And I think that the way it's being reported at the moment has left a lot of people dumbfounded as to what it actually means and does, because the media at the current juncture hasn't really been reporting it all that well. So I'm going to clear that up by looking at the bill that's proposed for the Telecommunications Interception and Access Amendment Data Retention Bill 2014, or if you want the short form, C2014B00230. So that's the one I'm going to be looking at in those videos. It'll be about 6 episodes long. They'll all be short videos, don't worry. If you want to catch all of them, subscribe to Thai Demon Beta. That's one of my other channels. The link is in the description below. The first video will be posted on this channel as well, if you want to see the introduction to it, so stay subscribed to this. And the last video of all 6 of them will be a summary / TLDR, if you don't want to watch the whole lot. But why wouldn't you? Law is incredibly interesting. This video, however, is going to discuss more Australian law itself, so that you have a basic understanding of how Australian law works before I delve into the details of a particular law, in case you don't know. And a disclaimer here before I explain how Australian law works. I am not a legal professional. I have had no training in law. I have just a basic high school understanding of law, but that should hopefully be enough to give me a basic understanding of how all of these laws and acts and bills work, and how they affect me and how they affect other people. So if I get any detail about Australian law and the way it works incorrect in this video, feel free to correct me below. I'd love to be corrected on that, and I don't want to walk around with a gross misunderstanding of Australian law. So all that aside, Australian law. Australian law is in written form. It's in words, it's in papers, it's in acts. An Act is a document which outlines the law of Australia, as has been passed by the Houses of Parliament and the Governor-General. Now, before an Act is made official, before it becomes Australian law, it has to pass through a set of rigorous tests and pass over, have a lot of eyes pass over it to make sure it's good for Australia and it's what we need. So the starting place of a law is a bill, as proposed by the governing party of Australia at the time. They will want particular law put in place, so they will document it in very detailed terms, in very detailed legal terms, in what is known as a bill. And this bill will be presented to usually the House of Representatives first, or the upper house. This bill will be discussed in the upper house. Amendments will be made on request in the upper house if need be. And eventually they will vote on this bill. There'll be a vote that says whether or not the bill should be passed. And if there is a majority vote in the upper house, the bill will be passed down to the Senate or the lower house. If it isn't passed down to the lower house, it'll be amended or forgotten until it is passed with a majority vote down to the lower house. In the lower house, or the Senate, as it is called, they will also vote on this bill. Now, the interesting thing about the Senate is the range of people who make up the Senate. They much better represent the entirety of the Australian society, because almost anyone, so long as they don't have any particular conflicts of interest or criminal records or other such things like that, they can sit and run for Senate. So a wide range of views is represented in the Senate. If you want to make sure that your views are accurately represented for your electorate in the Senate, talk to your local senator. Have a good discussion about what their views are, how they're representing you in Parliament, and try and find out if they are representing your views in Parliament as well as you'd like. You might learn something interesting. Now, the Senate. The bill passes into the Senate once it's been accepted by the House of Representatives. They all vote on it. If a majority vote is not reached, it gets passed back up to the House of Representatives. They amend it again, they vote on it again, and once that gets a majority vote, it gets passed back down in the Senate. This will keep happening. It will keep bouncing between these two until a majority vote is passed in the Senate, and at which point it's passed through both houses of Parliament. It's not done yet, though. There is one last person that has to eyeball the law before it gets signed off on, and they are the ones who have to sign it off, and that's the Governor-General. The Governor-General holds the highest office in Australia. They can say yay or nay to any law that gets passed through both houses. They can either accept the law and make it into an official act of Parliament, and at which point it becomes Australian law. They can refer the law on to the Queen if they do not feel they are able to make judgment on the law, or they can deny the law passing through and send it back to the House of Parliament that it came from, along with requests for amendments if they wish, or changes to the law. And that's how some idea in a group of politicians' heads becomes law that you and I must agree to. It's a fairly rigorous process. Now, the documents that represent the laws and the propositions are known as acts and bills, as I said. Acts are laws as they stand now, laws that govern Australia. Bills are proposed changes to law or additions to law that may introduce new acts or make amendments to existing ones. Now, every single past act and bill in any previous or current forms are available in an online digital form at the ComLaw website, which is comlaw.gov.au. It's a very useful tool if you're wondering about any particular laws. I'll link it in the description below. But these laws, these acts and bills, are written in very legal language, which for the average person who has no legal background is a bit cumbersome to use, and you might have trouble understanding. In the late 70s, a practice was adopted of accompanying each bill or act with what is known as an Explanatory Memorandum. This document outlines the exact same information in the bill or law, but it's not as condensed because it's written in plain English, which means more people can understand it, which is an incredibly useful tool. So for my videos, I'll be referring to the Explanatory Memorandum of the bill in question, not the bill itself, because I have no legal background. If another particularly useful resource that you might want to look at if you want a better understanding of Australian law is the Constitution. It's not a very large text, it's quite easy to understand and read, and it outlines the way government is enacted in Australia, the structure of government, along with several other rules around government. Any changes to this document, which is the basis of Australian law and Commonwealth, requires a referendum, which means any slight alteration to this document means that every single voting citizen in Australia has to vote for that change to be made. And I believe this has only happened 3 times in the past, and only one of those times did a change actually get made. And it's been that same document since the Federation in 1901. So, if you want to learn more about a particular bill or act in Australia, look up the Explanatory Memorandum on the ComLaw website. It's incredibly useful if you want to understand any of it. Now, all that aside, if you want to catch my videos, as I said, on the metadata retention scheme, they'll be on the other channel, which you can subscribe to below, and the first one will be probably the next video to appear on this channel. So until I appear in that video or in any of my other channels, cheerio!